Hello, everybody. Let me know if you can hear me. I usually pull it up on my phone, but it's probably going to blare. Yeah. It's going to do an ad, so we'll give people a minute or so to get past the ads and get on to the live stream. But thanks for joining me today. A little bit last minute live show. I announced yesterday, I think it was kind of a last minute decision to do this, but I haven't done a live show in a while. It's been a couple weeks. It's been a crazy month in April. I was sick for like 2.5 weeks and just felt terrible and was like coughing all the time. And just, I couldn't even, it would have been terrible to try to even do reading sprints. Like I was reading a lot. Well, I guess I haven't really read a lot this month, but I was reading, but there was no way I was going to be able to like sit here in front of a computer and talk while I was reading. So haven't been as active on the live shows in a while, but I am finally better. So wanted to today. Um, also had the day off work, so I was like, good time to do a little afternoon kind of hangout session. I'm not necessarily planning on these being reading sprints today. We can do reading sprints if you want, but my whole kind of reason for doing the live show today is just a little celebration for hitting 7K subscribers. And I think yesterday is when I hit it. But yeah, just another exciting little milestone. Wanted to do this as a little celebration, a little bit of thank you. But yeah, so thanks for everyone who is joining on today and these like last minute, random, middle of the day live show, little hangout time. Thank you to everyone who is subscribed to my channel. If you're watching this and you're not subscribed, it might be a good time to hit that button if you like what I'm doing here. But thanks to everyone who's been around for a while. Thanks to the new subscribers. It's just always really exciting to hit a milestone. I know a lot of people are like, I'm not in it for the numbers, but the numbers are still exciting. Like it's a good validation of people liking your content and just liking to hang out with you. So it's obviously a nice, exciting little milestone. So just wanted to hang out with you guys today, catch up since it's been a couple weeks since I've been live. Hear about what you've been reading. I'll tell you about what I've been reading. I posted on my Instagram as well for a couple Q&A questions and then some personalized book recommendation questions. So we'll have a little segment for each of those. We'll do some personalized book recommendations. So you can ask me for anything that you're looking for a book rec. And then we will do like just a general Q&A type session and then just kind of see where we go from there. But it's kind of the plan for today, probably expecting like somewhere between 30 minutes to an hour of just hanging out. It is lunchtime for me over here on the East Coast. So if it's lunchtime for you, grab a snack. I've got some Cheez-Its with me in case I get a little bit hungry while we're on here today. But yeah, just excited to hang out with you guys. Hey, Melissa. Hello, Monica. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Hey, Marlene. Oh, hello from the Philippines. Wonder what time it is for you there. The midday kind of live show is always interesting. The people that you get because it's a better time zone for a lot of people I know than doing it like late at night sometimes. So always cool to see what people are hopping in and where you're from. Hi, Marta. Hi, Crystal. Congratulations. I'm working through our violent ends, ready to finish the duology. Nice. Also, I don't know if you guys can hear the sirens going by and all of the loud noises. I'm sure you can hear it. It's very loud, but I do live in a city and it is the middle of the day. So it might be a little bit loud, but just take it as like city ambience. You're just really getting to know what it's like to hang out with me. 9 a.m. in California. Oh, yeah, because you're 3 hours behind. Yeah, working right now, but it's nice to hang out with you. Well, thanks for joining. Yeah, I would typically also be working today, but I have a mental health day off of work today. They had to do like some migration stuff with our email account, so we have no access to anything. So they're like, take a mental health day and relax. And I said, what better way to spend a mental health day than with my booktube friends, reading, hanging out, talking about books. I'm from the UK and this time's perfect for me. It is 5 p.m. on Friday. Oh yeah, that's awesome. I'm surprised it's only 5 hours ahead in the UK. I thought it would be a bigger time difference, but that's not too bad at all. 12:04 here in the Philippines. Nice. On the treadmill, but this is a good distraction. That's awesome. Get your steps in and just hang out. Hello, thank you. All right, so I think what I want to start with, like I said, I put some stuff up on my Instagram. Let me just check to make sure there's nothing new in these question boxes, but I preloaded my banners. Yep. Okay. We've got everything. Preloaded my banners on StreamYard. If you don't know what I'm talking about because you're not familiar with StreamYard's backend, you can the same way you can click a comment and bring it up on the screen. Hello, Kat. Thank you for joining. You can also create these banners, and I preloaded them with what I ask people for. So I'm going to start with just personalized book recommendations for a little bit. So if there's anything that you want a book recommendation for, a genre, something you're looking for, maybe if you like this show or if you like this book, a different kind of recommendation similar to that, go ahead and drop them in the comments. I'm going to get started with the ones that were in my Instagram, in my question box. If you ever want to be a part of any of that, I typically post on those a lot for polling for the books I'm reading for vlogs or things like to talk about in live shows. So my Instagram is just the same as my channel, Ashley's Little Library. So pop over there, follow me over there if you want to get some early little sneak peeks into the things I'm doing. But we're going to get started with the recommendation requests that came from there. And then as I'm going through these, like I said, leave them in the chat if there's anything you're looking for, and then I'll pop over to those afterwards. So we're going to get started with this recommendation request for a good horror novella. I love a good horror novella. That is one of my favorite types of things to read. I feel like this person definitely knew that about me, which is why they probably asked. But most recently, a really good horror novella that I read is, I was thinking about getting it, but I'm like, I'll just sit down. Crossroads by Laurel Hightower. It is a super short little horror novella about this woman who her son has died. He was like a teenager or like a young adult kind of age, like a full grown child. So she's like an older woman. And he passed away, and she's really grieving his loss pretty heavily. And she goes out to the site where he died. He died in like a car accident and like hit a tree or something. And she'll frequently go out there to mourn him and remember him. And she starts sacrificing things at his altar because she begins seeing his ghost, and she thinks the more she sacrifices, the more solidified he'll be and that she'll be able to bring him back. I know this is tied with some kind of folklore or mythology. I'm not exactly sure why. I can't remember right now, but it has some sort of cultural significance that this is some type of thing, like the Crossroads Demon, I believe is what it's called, which is why the book's called Crossroads. But that horror novella was so effective for me. If you know me too, you know I love horror that deals with people grieving. And so that is obviously the huge theme of that one, but it was just so effective, so heartbreaking. I loved the character in that. I love seeing her journey. There's a little bit of like a romance that she has going on too. And I thought that character was an interesting supporting character. And it was just a really good little horror novella. So if you're looking for one that I feel like it's a little bit underrated, I really don't feel like I hear a ton of people talk about it, then definitely would recommend checking that out. Like I said, it's called Crossroads by Laurel Hightower. All right, next up, we have a recommendation for a book with the best last page or last sentence plot twist. I didn't prepare for any of these. I did read through them and put them in the banners ahead of time, but I didn't think of an answer for this. I don't know if I'm going to be able to think of an answer for this. This one is a tricky one because I honestly have the worst memory when it comes to the books that I read, especially plot twists or endings. I never really reread thrillers right now, but I would be perfectly primed to be the type of person who rereads thrillers because I forget like everything that happens. I don't remember plot twists. I don't remember the endings. I'll hear people talk about a book that I've read and loved, and they'll be like, oh my gosh, that last sentence got me, or that very last plot twist was so great. And I've read the book and I loved it too, but I'm like, wow, I really can't remember what the last sentence was. That must have been so amazing. But if any of you have a really good recommendation for this, definitely let me know in the chat and we'll pull those up along the way too. One that comes to mind for me, and just an author who comes to mind with really good plot twists or like that final plot twist, kind of stacking plot twists, is Riley Sager. And I know there's like kind of mixed feelings about Riley Sager right now, and if you like his stuff or if you don't, but I have enjoyed most of Riley Sager's stuff. Survive the Night, I didn't enjoy. A lot of people didn't enjoy that one. I'm kind of hearing mixed things about his new book that's coming out in July, but I think Riley Sager does a really good job with plot twists and giving you like a midway plot twist and then like a 80% plot twist and then that like 95% of the way through the story plot twist. So thinking about like Lock Every Door by Riley Sager or Home Before Dark, those are books that I think of where I remember really enjoying the plot twists, even if I don't remember exactly what they were. I remember being really compelled by those. I saw Kat popped in here too, the last page or line of In My Dreams I Hold a Knife. I do remember that one. That does have a pretty good little last ending thing there. Um, but yeah, nothing else is really coming to mind for me necessarily. I don't know about the last sentence, but I remember the last couple pages of The Turn of the Key by Ruth Ware being wild. Yeah, I agree. That one is one where it's like really stretched out and then you finally figure out what happens right at the ending. So that ending stands out quite a bit there. Also, hey, Kat. But Kat also said we need to do something by Max Booth, had a really oddly abrupt ending that is surprising. I have not read that one. I know that is a horror novella, but I did watch the adaptation on Hulu, the movie of that one. I've heard they're pretty different, so I'm not going to judge the book based off of the movie, but I didn't really like the movie that much. I am still interested in reading the book though, because I have heard that they're so different, but I could see how that would um, compare if it's like a similar kind of story, how that one would be really interesting. But yeah, that was kind of my thoughts on books with the last page or last sentence plot twist. And then the final request that I got from my Instagram is a recommendation for an underrated horror or gothic novel with a spooky house and a family with secrets, which is just very niche. Not entirely niche. Most horror and gothic novels obviously do have the haunted house trope, but narrowing that down again to a family with secrets. I don't know where I'm going to go with this one, but we'll see where we go. If anyone has any other recommendations, definitely let me know in the chat. But I do love horror and gothic novels. Gothic is kind of one of my favorite tropes that I'm finding that I really like in horror. I love a good spooky house. And I love family stuff. So, one of the first things that comes to mind is The Book of Accidents by Chuck Wendig, which isn't a haunted house book, but it is a horror book. There is a spooky house, and it's just kind of like a spooky town in general. The spooky house is not the center of the book, but there's spooky things happening in the house, but also just in like the entire town. And that one does have a family with secrets. So that's a story about this family that you're following. And the dad is moving his wife and his teenage son back to his hometown area. I don't particularly remember why. I think it's because his dad died, and so they're moving back into his dad's house, but he really didn't want to go. He didn't have good memories of it. He had a terrible relationship with his father. And so it's already like this ominous tone when they're moving there in general. And then throughout the story, you follow all three of them, which I really liked. You follow the dad's journey, the mom's journey, and the teenage boy's journey. And there's like some sci-fi elements that come into the story. I won't spoil what in particular because that's kind of a big element of the story. But the first half of that book, it's kind of a long one. It's near like 400 pages. The first half of that book is about building it up and like they're getting into the town. You're learning about them. You're learning about the dad's history and like how the parents met and just like getting to know them. And then at the halfway point, something dramatic happens, and then the rest of the book is following what happens from there. So that one's a really good one. Definitely recommend that one. Had a lot of fun with it. It really gives Stephen King vibes. So if you like Stephen King stuff, then would definitely recommend that. I liked that better than most Stephen King that I've read. The only Stephen King book that I really loved is The Shining by Stephen King, which also has a spooky house and a family with secrets. Yeah, the dad's got secrets. So there's another rec for you, The Shining by Stephen King, that would fall under this one. I saw Melissa also dropped in the chat Mexican Gothic. That is another great recommendation. In this one, you're following this woman who's it's set like back in the 50s, 1950s ish, and she gets a letter from her cousin who has just recently got married to this guy, and she's reaching out to her cousin saying like, come help me, I'm trapped here, there's like bad things going on, I need your help. So she goes out to visit her cousin in this new marriage that she's in this new spooky Gothic house. And when she gets there, she finds out that her cousin like actually had, or at least the story is, she actually had tuberculosis and she was hallucinating and everything is fine. But she doesn't think everything's fine. And so she sticks around to figure out what's going on in that family. There's definitely a lot of family secrets there. There's some creepy things going on, some interesting things with mushrooms. It is a really good time. Really enjoyed that one as well. Someone else said Within These Wicked Walls. I haven't heard of that one. I can look that up and see if we can figure out who the author of that one is in case other people don't know either. Oh, Mexican Gothic, by the way, is by Sylvia Moreno Garcia, for anyone who doesn't know. Within These Wicked Walls is by Lauren Blackwood. Looks like this. Came out last year by Wednesday Books. I'm surprised I never heard of that one. This one says, what the heart desires, the house destroys. Andromeda is a Debtera, an exorcist hired to cleanse households of the evil eye. When a handsome young heir named Magnus Rochester reaches out to hire her, Andromeda quickly realizes this is a job like no other, with horrifying manifestations at every turn, and that Magnus is hiding far more than she has been trained for. Death is the most likely outcome if she stays, but leaving Magnus to live out his curse alone isn't an option. Evil may roam the castle's halls, but so does a burning desire. Kirsten White meets Tomi Adeyemi in this Ethiopian-inspired debut fantasy retelling of Jane Eyre. I'm going to add that to my want to read list. That sounds really good. And I love Kirsten White, which is why, well, I've only read one thing from Kirsten White so far, but I love the book that I read from Kirsten White. I haven't read Jane Eyre yet. I do have that on my TBR. I feel like that would be another good recommendation for a good classic Gothic story. Also seeing Ghost Story by Peter Straub. That's another one that I haven't read yet, but I have heard really good things about it, and I do have that one on my radar. It's not out yet, but I've heard The Hacienda has these vibes. It's being compared to Mexican Gothic and Rebecca. Yep. I think, I can't remember the author's name of that. It's Isabel something, I think. But I'm pretty sure that's going to be one of the Book of the Month picks for May based off of the clue that they dropped on their app. Isabel Cañas, Canas, and the N has a tilde. I think that's what you call it. But yeah, the cover for The Hacienda looks like that one. House of Windows by John Langan. Haven't read that one either. I have read from John Langan before. I read The Fisherman, and I really liked that one. So definitely would be interested in checking that one out. Can't wait to read The Hacienda. Mexican Gothic and Rebecca are both favorites of mine, so anything similar to those I have to get my hands on. Yeah. Oh, also Rebecca. Yeah, I didn't mention that one, but Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier, another classic Gothic story. I did read that one. I only read the first half of it though because I got a little bored with it and I wasn't super interested. And the adaptation on Netflix came out right at the same time, so I just watched the movie instead. Still wasn't necessarily for me, but I do like the idea that I love Gothic stories. Yeah, definitely lots of goodies coming out here soon. How do people always get these hints on their Book of the Month app? I never see them. For me, I am in like a Book of the Month group on Facebook, and people are posting in it all the time, just making guesses about what it's going to be. But when I just go into my app, this is what I see. And this is like what's on the cover of The Hacienda, which is how you know it's The Hacienda. But I don't know. It's just like right when I pop up, it's there. Maybe you have to update your app. I don't know, but they just started doing it a couple months ago, and I've been really loving it that they've been dropping those hints. But yeah, those were all the recs for underrated horror gothic novel with Spooky House and Families with Secrets. And those were all of the requests that I got in my Instagram. So I'm going to go catch back up on the comments from above and see if there's anything else you guys want recommendations for this first little segment. And also just catch up on who is joining. Hi, Tara. Thank you for joining and thank you for the congratulations. Hey, Jess. Popping in on my lunch break. Nice. Hi, John. Thank you. Okay, looks like we're popping into some requests here. We've got psychological suspense with unreliable narrators. And then I also see Marlene ask for psychological thriller recommendations right after. So we'll just talk kind of generally about psychological thrillers, unreliable narrators where we can. Sometimes it's kind of hard to tell that a book has an unreliable narrator because that can be like a spoiler. So I might try to avoid that and just talk more about like psychological thriller recommendations that I have. But let me get a sip of water first. This is the first time I've done a live show where I just talk the whole time. So we'll see how long my voice runs for. Okay, psychological thriller recommendations. So I just recently posted, I mean, it's been a while at this point, but recently I posted a video with psychological thriller book recommendations. Okay, yeah, it's been a while. I'm looking at my channel right now at the same time too. Oh, where is it? I don't even know. I thought that was it, but it's not. Oh yeah, okay. It's been 2 months since I did that, and that felt recent to me. A couple that I recommended in that video, Home Before Dark by Riley Sager. We just talked about that one recently when we were talking about books with good plot twists. I'm thinking of Ending Things by Ian Reid. I feel like that's a really popular one that gets talked about a lot when you talk about psychological thrillers. In that one, if you haven't read that one yet, you're following this couple, this guy who's bringing his new girlfriend home to meet his family out at this farmhouse in the middle of nowhere. So you follow them in the car having these like weird, eerie conversations leading to that visit, and then kind of what happens along the way. And the context that you have is in her mind as they're going, she is like thinking of ending things with him, is what you're getting into. Kind of hard to talk about that one without spoiling some things, but that one's definitely really psychological, leans more horror than thriller for sure, and just really interesting. Another one that I talked about in that video is The Push by Ashley Audrain. Huge book last year. Lots of people have read that one and talked about that one, but you're following this woman who has a daughter with her husband, and she has a lot of trouble connecting with her daughter. She thinks her daughter has some evil in her, and she just can't form that connection there. Everyone else is kind of telling her she's crazy. They're like, the daughter's great. She's not evil. The husband even is like, you're just being kind of crazy about it. And then she has another kid. She has a son, and she loves the son. She has no problem connecting with him. She feels really emotionally attached to him and loves him. And it makes her question even more what's going on with her daughter, why she can't feel that with her. And then something really traumatic happens in their family that causes even more unraveling along the way. What I really like about that book is it also has excerpts from that woman's mother and her mother's mother. So you really see this idea of like generational trauma, this matrilineal line of just relationships between mothers and daughters. And I just found it really interesting in that way. But I know a lot of people have talked about that one too. So I'm trying to think of one that's like a little bit lesser known or less talked about. Maybe Pretty Little Wife by Darby Kane could be a good one to recommend. I don't know if a ton of people have read that one. It was a book of the month pick when it came out, so possibly. But Darby Kane is a romance writer or like romantic suspense in a different name. And this was the first book that Darby Kane came out with. And it is about this woman and her husband. He's missing. She was the last person to see his body because she's like, I'm pretty sure I killed him, but now his body's not found. So she's like, what happened? Did I not effectively kill him? And is he still alive? Did someone move his body? What's going on? And it's really, really fun. So there's a couple psychological thriller recommendations. I see some people are saying too, Liv didn't like the push, and neither did Elizabeth. So I think that one is one that has mostly a lot of love. I feel like I hear most people really like it, but I do hear people every now and then say that they don't love it as much. Marlene just ordered the push. That's awesome. The Pretty Ones by Anya Alburn is a short psychological thriller I read recently. Interesting. Yeah, I haven't read from that author before, but I hear people talk about them quite a bit. So definitely want to check out some of their stuff. Insomnia by Sarah Pinborough has an unreliable narrator. I just ordered that one in the last couple of days off of Pengo Books. I was trying to not pay full price for it because I've just bought a couple recent new books recently. I'm trying to hold off and try to wait a little bit and buy them on Pengo Books. And I found that one on Pengo Books. So I got it for $14, which was super exciting. But definitely want to read that one. I've heard really good things about it so far. Also, sorry, I'm literally all over the place in these comments today, trying to keep up with everything. Have you read anything by Frida McFadden yet? I haven't, but I have had some people recommend that I check out Frida's books. The first time that I remember getting recommended a couple books by Frida McFadden, it was like on one of my YouTube community posts. I don't remember what the context was, but I remember someone commented on that and recommended like 2 books. And then the next day or sometime later that week, my friend Beth from Beth's All Booked read from Frida McFadden and like hated whatever it was that she read. So I didn't really think much more of it, but I might have to check out her stuff again and see if there's anything that I think sounds interesting. The Hole by Ha Young Pyun. Yep, I've read this one as well. This one is a really good kind of psychological horror. It's not a book where a ton happens, but it just does a really good job creating a really good horror atmosphere. So if you like horror atmosphere and just eeriness, then I would definitely recommend this one. I can't remember how to pitch it to you without spoiling it because I think I remember when I read it, I was surprised about part of it, and so I don't want to tell you that part if it's not in the synopsis, and then that spoils it. So let me just check really quickly. This one looks like this. It was originally written in Korean as well, so it's a translated novel, and you're following this guy who has woken from a coma after causing a devastating car accident that took his wife's life and left him paralyzed and badly disfigured. Okay, so I don't remember if I knew all of the exact details of how that happened, but yeah, this guy and his wife driving a car, he crashes the car, she dies, he ends up paralyzed, I think. Yeah, paralyzed. And his mother-in-law starts taking care of him, but she also starts digging a bunch of holes out in the garden and being really weird, and it is just a good creepy time. The Silent Patient, that's a really popular one about a psychologist who's working with this woman who shot her husband like 5 times in the face and then never spoke a word again and won't tell you why. So definitely super interesting story idea there. Loved Pretty Little Wife and loved The Push. Yeah, I liked them a lot as well. Let me see if there were any other requests. Cool. I think that was it. Oh, Elizabeth, I just saw this. Who's the author for Crossroads? I'm seeing a bunch of books with that title. It is Laurel Hightower. And I'll just show you what it looks like too, just in case. If there's anything else I missed in the comments, you guys, you can just send it again and I'll pay better attention at the bottom. But this is what Crossroads looks like. All right. So that's it for book recommendations. So next, I'm just going to go into the Q&A stuff. So like I said, I asked for questions on my Instagram, so I'm going to start with those. But if there's any other questions you have that you want to pop in the chat, feel free to do so along the way. First question I got on Instagram: how are you so amazing? I feel like that's super self-explanatory. I'm just kidding. This one was from one of my best friends, Hannah, from Hannah's Recent Reads. Obviously just a joke, but I thought that was funny. What do you do for work? I feel like this is a question I get every time I ask for questions. So I just usually try to answer it pretty quickly because I'm always curious as well what other booktubers do for work or just what they do with their time, if they're in school, whatever. So I like to answer it because I know people are always curious too. I work from home. I'm full time remote and I work in the digital marketing space. So um, I that's about all the information that I feel like you need to know. But I sit at a computer most of the day, work online, sit in a lot of meetings, manage a couple people. And yeah, that is what I do for my job. Goals for the year. I thought this was a good question too, because you can talk generally about like booktube kind of goals, but also just what you're hoping to do for the year. My kind of 2022 New Year's resolution. I'm not a huge resolutions person, but I do like to spend that time at the beginning of the year to reflect on what my last year was like, kind of what the next year is going to be like, if there's any kind of big things I want to work towards. So, my New Year's resolution this year was to relax more, which I feel like is very different from a lot of the other kind of ideas of what New Year's resolutions typically look like. Like, I want to work out more and I want to do all these hard things. And these are the big goals I'm striving towards. But I just needed to chill more this year. I feel like I've worked really hard the past couple of years in a lot of different aspects of my life. And I just wanted to encourage myself to rest without feeling guilty more often this year. And I have done a really good job of that so far. I have said no to things when I'm just tired and not let FOMO get me out, like going and doing something when I know I need to rest. I've had some times where I've just been like really busy and I just feel like my body is exhausted and is begging for rest. And I've let myself do it. I've let myself rest instead of trying to push harder. So that's been a really nice goal to have for the year. Highly encourage other people to do that. It's a really healthy way to kind of get out of hustle culture and like girl boss mode. Sometimes you just need to chill. And I've decided just to chill a little more this year, and it's been really great. Other goals I have for the year, I always, well, I don't always set. I used to set like a 50 book per year goal for my reading goal. 2020 happened, pandemic happened. I've started reading like over 100 books a year. So it's kind of like 100 books in my mind. I still set it as 50 books in Goodreads because it's like one book a week, easy to achieve. I've read like 36 ish books, I think, so far this year. So I'm for sure going to exceed 50. But in my mind, I work towards like 100 books in the year. Getting ready to move again for my partner's job. So goal is to have another smooth move, to get settled in a new house, in a new town. Going to be there longer than we were in this city. This was a shorter move. We just moved last summer. So we've been here a year. I'm getting ready to move for a couple more years to a new place. So hopefully that goes well. And I really just want to get more physically settled in the new area we moved to. Here, I knew we were only going to be here for a year, so I didn't try to like establish many roots or like make a ton of friends in the area. 'Cause what's the point if you're only here for a year and then moving really far away? But goal of mine is to really start to dig roots in a new place the second half of the year when we move. So those are a couple of my goals. Favorite books that you've read so far this year? The one we just talked about, that horror novella Crossroads by Laurel Hightower, that definitely stands out as one of my favorites. Um, I just read, well, I won't spoil that for you. I just read a book for a vlog and I really liked it, and it's probably going to be a favorite of the year, but you'll see that in my next vlog, so I won't spoil that for you. Um, I really liked Reckless Girls by Rachel Hawkins, which is controversial opinion, but I feel like that book I liked for a lot of the same reasons that I liked Every Value Break by Peter Swanson last year. which everybody else hated. A lot of people don't like Reckless Girls, but I did. It was a fun time. It's like good, fast paced. Well, I think it's fast paced. Some people think it's slow, but in my opinion, I thought that was like a fast page turner because you just want to know more and more. It's about a group of people going out on this island, and by the end, some people will die. Um, Anything else? I don't know. I'm probably gonna have to look at my Goodreads. Let me know in the chat what your guys' favorite book is that you've read so far this year. I haven't had a ton of standouts, so I'm looking for some really good ones. I really liked Good Rich People by Eliza Jane Brazier. That's a thriller that came out a couple months ago. Don't think a lot of people are going to like that one either. The characters are really over the top, but I like over the top things. Oh, The Burning Girls by CJ Tudor. That was the first book I read this year, and I really liked that. It is a thriller that kind of feels like a horror as well. That was really good. This Thing Between Us by Gus Moreno. That was one of my favorite horrors that I've read so far this year. That one is like a grief horror. It also has some cosmic horror in it. Yeah, that's like 5 books or so out of the top 40 that I have read so far. So those are some good ones. Comfort movie or TV show? I definitely comfort movie is Twilight. Like the Twilight series, I can rewatch those a million times. If it's a rainy day and I'm really tired and I just want to put something on as background noise, I could literally watch Twilight day after day after day after day after day and not get sick of it. I've seen that movie probably like at least 30 times in my life. That's not exaggerating by any means, like at least 30. So yeah, that's my comfort movie, regardless of if it is high quality or not. It's my comfort movie. And TV show, I really like New Girl. That's like if I don't have anything else to put on, it's either The Office or New Girl. I watched Schitt's Creek. I never finished Schitt's Creek, but that felt like a comfort show at the time. I don't know why. I can't finish it. I have another friend who started around the same time as me, and we got about the same amount through the show, and then we just never picked it back up and finished it. So I don't know. One day I'll finish it. I really liked it. I don't have any complaints with Schitt's Creek. I just kind of got out of the mood to watch it at some point. But I'm not a big like rewatcher of TV shows or movies really. Like Twilight I rewatch a lot, but other than that, I don't rewatch things very much. I also don't reread things very much. I like to have new experiences. But if there is a show that I can rewatch, it is The Office or New Girl. A book that you would recommend to anyone. I always think of like the Reese Witherspoon book club picks for these because I feel like those are the books that get the widest reach and that you see a lot of people really read and really like. It's hard to recommend a book to anyone because like people have different genre preferences and people have different things that trigger them in books. So it's hard to widely reach with a book recommendation. Uh I feel like one of my go-tos, if it's just like you want a literary fiction or like contemporary fiction book. Sorry, I'm still like residually coughing from being sick for like half of this month, but would be Una Out of Order by Margarita Montemor. That's one of my favorite books of all time. You're following this woman who, on her, I think it's her 19th birthday, it's like her 19th or 20th birthday, at midnight, she doesn't turn the next age that she's supposed to. She starts living her life out of order. So like instead of turning 19, she turns like 54. And then the next year she's like 22. And then the next year she's like 36. And she just lives the rest of her life out of order from there. And it is like a little bit silly with like some comedic moments. It's obviously a little bit magical and like unexplained magic. It is like endearing and heartwarming at times. It is sad and emotional at times. And I just really like books like that. So that is the book that I will typically kind of recommend to anyone in my life who's just looking to get back into reading, people who aren't necessarily looking for like a super dark horror book or a super twisty thriller book. If you just want like a book that I think really anyone can enjoy, I would say Una Out of Order by Margarita Montemor. And I know that Margarita Montemore has a new book coming out this year because I have an ARC of it. It is called Acts of Violet, and I am super excited to read it. It is sitting right over there. I'm looking at it and adoring it. I'll just get it so I can show you because I am very excited about it. But this is it. Another super cool cover. I don't remember exactly what this one is about. It has something to do with magic. It says, is this where this blurb begins? Yeah, the back's a little different because it's an arc, but it says, um, now she performs sleight of hand in a new novel about a famous magician who vanishes mid-act and her sister who is left to discover what happened. So yeah, I'm very excited for this one because I loved Una Out of Order so much. Yeah, it is definitely one of my 5-star predictions as well. I'm super excited to read it. I think it comes out July 5th. So not too much longer. Oh, yeah, this is a great point. I haven't read The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, but I've heard it described as a book most people would like. Agreed. That is a book that I would recommend for anybody as well. I almost spoiled a little bit of the book, but yeah, it is really, really good. I love that one. Oh, if you're curious, if you don't know what this book is about, it's this celebrity, Evelyn Hugo, who has had a lot of marriages in her life. She's married 7 different men, and she's like infamous for it, kind of like in a Taylor Swift kind of way. Well, not so much anymore now. She's been with Joe for a long time, but think about like how everyone talked about Taylor Swift all the time. That's how people talk about Evelyn Hugo, just like switching out these men and what's going on. And she lives her whole life really secretly, and at the not the end of her life, but she gets older. She's in like her 60s or 70s. And she finally offers to do an exclusive tell-all interview where she talks through all of her history, all of her husbands, and reveals who the one true love of her life was. And it's really good. It's like Hollywood glitz and glam, and it's a little bit of a mystery in that way. It's emotional. Really good book that I think like anyone really would like. Favorite books of the year, back on this. One for All by Lily Lainoff is my favorite book that's newly released. I know I've got to finish Schitt's Creek. I will one day. It slipped off my radar and then I forget to go back to it. Just got this thing between us from the library. Ooh, yay. You're in for a good time. I did not just become engaged recently. Not sure who you might be thinking of, but certainly not me. No rings on these fingers. Um, no particular loaded emotions behind that. I just didn't get engaged recently. Just found that one on Scribd last week and it seems fun. Women Musketeers. Interesting. Yeah, this is this one for all. Let me look that up so I don't forget about it. We talk about so many books and shows in these that by the end, if I don't look every single time, I will definitely forget what we talked about. Oh, and it is Own Voices for Disability Rep. That is good to know. Has anyone read The Haunting of Lee Harker? I've just finished it and I'm not sure what I think. Is that one by Darcy Coates? I haven't read that one. It does sound familiar, but I don't know. I haven't read that. Let's see, what question were we on? So next is, when did you start your channel? That's a quick, easy one. I started it in 2020. Don't remember the exact month. It was like April or May, I think. It was like a very soft launch. This was going to be a really quick, easy answer, but I'll give you some more context, I guess. I have been watching BookTube since like 2012, 2013. I watched, oh, sorry, I just saw this. Someone congratulated me earlier in the, oh, I think I saw that. I think someone said congrats on, oh, they did say engagement. I thought they meant like engagement as in people are being engaged in this. It was someone I know in real life, so he might have just been messing with me and trying to act like I got engaged. I don't know, but yeah, that's really funny. I forgot about that. Anyway, I've been watching BookTube since like 2012, 2013, like back in the OG days. And when I like what year was it? Like 2016? Like in 2016, I started a channel that was like, I don't know what voice that was. But I started a channel that was like some lifestyle-y things and also some bookish things. I made like 5 videos and then I forgot about it and sat it down and never did anything with it again. I can't even remember what it was called at this point, to be honest. Like I don't even know where to tell you to look. I genuinely have no idea what that was called. But I did it a couple years ago, didn't really do anything with it. And then when the pandemic started in 2020 and we're all just sitting at home and we're really bored, I was like, why don't you give it a shot again now that you are an adult who can like communicate better and you still really like watching BookTube. You watched it for like 8 years at this point. You read a ton, so why don't you give it a shot? So I did in April or May. I started by doing these like videos that I was posting as IGTV stuff on Instagram, and then I just uploaded it to YouTube as well. And then I just committed. I was like, full send. We're gonna try out YouTube, and yeah, been here ever since. I really, really like it. So yeah, it's been 2+ years now, just around 2 years, and no plans of stopping anytime soon. So that's been my journey. Yeah, so many English words can mean so many things. I don't even know what meaning we were going for there, but all right. And this is the last question that I have from the Instagram Q&A. If there's anything else, go ahead and drop it in the chat, or else we'll just kind of move on to other topics after that. What genres are you willing to try next for a blog? I'm really open to reading kind of pretty much anything. I mean, I don't gravitate towards things like historical fiction or sci-fi as much, but I have a mix of things on my TBR back here. I've got some science fiction back there. I've got fantasy, mostly thrillers and horrors. I've got literary fiction, romance, nonfiction. Those are kind of the main genres that I dabble in. I do want to do more like subgenre vlogs of reading certain tropes in like horror tropes, like reading haunted house books or reading. I can't think of any kind of subgenre in thrillers right now. Like reading isolated thrillers where it's in an isolated setting. I've done that a little bit in the past. I've done um I can't think of a single example now of a single book that I've done. But I've done subgenre reading vlogs in the past. What I typically find when I do those is I get burnt out or I make bad choices representing that subgenre and then I just don't like them. And then I feel like I make it seem like I don't like anything in that subgenre, or I feel that way. Like I did a cult fiction reading vlog before, and I don't think I like any of the books that I read for that. Some of the choices I think were fine, but other ones I'm like, I would have done that differently now. Um, I've for sure done like horror and thriller trope kind of things before, but it just kind of burns you out sometimes. Like imagine if you were reading haunted house books and you just read 3 haunted house books back to back and you compare them so intensely, and then it's hard to enjoy more than one of them if you're reading 3 of the same thing. But I do want to try it again and try to pick it back up because I like watching them. I don't have anything like top of mind that I would do in the future. I know one thing I want to do is a like popcorn thriller reading vlog, reading books, or like, yeah, I think popcorn thriller is the right word. Like popcorn thrillers or airplane thrillers, where it's like a book that you read really quickly and you don't take it too seriously and it's not trying to be this sophisticated thing, but it's just a fun time. I really like thrillers like that. So I want to watch that. Oh, thank you. Yes, I did do a space book and I didn't have fun with those. Those I don't were they thrillers? I know I read The Space Between Worlds and then I don't remember what the other one was called, but it was basically like red, white, and royal blue in space. So it was like a little more fantasy romance. Yeah, I don't know. To answer the question that I've been rambling on, I would read pretty much anything. And I do want to try to do more reading vlogs for subgenres, but I just kind of have to figure out how to do it in a way that works better for me. I think what might work better for me is doing reading blogs on things that aren't necessarily genre related, but are more like reading the highest rated books on my TBR, reading the lowest rated books on my TBR, reading the most popular books on my TBR. That way I'm not stuck reading a lot of the same things back to back to back, but I'm still able to do like more fun reading vlogs than just reading thrillers and reading horror books. Those are the next two vlogs you're going to see from me is reading new horror books, which I am almost done with. I just have one more book to read for that vlog, and then I'm doing a reading new thriller books reading vlog. So those are two that you'll see pretty soon. But yeah, open to kind of anything. Okay, that was that on all of the Q&A stuff that I had. We've been going almost an hour of me just chatting here to a screen, which is impressive to me. I didn't know if I'd be able to do this. But cool, there are a couple other things that I wanted to talk about just for some housekeeping updates and whatnot, and also just to see what you guys have been up to. First, want to talk about Spring Fling-a-Ween. Are you guys doing Spring Fling-a-Ween at the end? I think it's the end of this week. That came really fast for the end of the month. Oh no, it's next week. It's Friday today. I thought today was like Monday for some reason, but it's the end of next week is Spring Fling-a-Ween, which is a readathon that is being hosted by Gabby from Gabby Reads and Olivia from Olivia Gets a Latte. They do summer weens and winter weens and camp weekend ween, and now they're doing a spring fling-a-ween. So I will be doing that next week. So expect to see, I think I'm going to do a vlog for that. I've done a vlog for literally every other version of that readathon that has happened. I participated every single time since they started it. So I got to keep the streak up now. But yeah, I'm probably going to do like one vlog for the Spring Fling-a-ween days. There's not as many prompts. There's like a prompt to read a book with pink and yellow on the cover. And I think a backlist book is a prompt. I don't know how many prompts there are. I remember those two off the top of my head. I was planning on reading Manhunt by Gretchen Felker Martin for that because it's kind of like got some pinks and yellows on the cover. But I started that book just like separately. I forgot that I was going to do it for Spring Fling-a-ween, so I started at the beginning of this month and read the first couple chapters and then realized I could save it for that. But also, I don't think I'm going to like that book. So I don't know if I want to read that for the readathon because I don't think I'm going to really enjoy it. It might just be a DNF. But otherwise, like I don't really know what I'm going to read for it. I've got All Her Little Secrets by, I cannot see anything from here, Wanda something. It is Kayla's book club for the month, book club pick for the Literally Dead book club this month. All Her Little Secrets. It's a backlist thriller. So I think I'm going to try to read that because it'll fit backlist and then it'll also get me reading that book before her live show so I can watch that. But those are kind of the tentative plans. I don't know how much I'll fit. I think it's a 3-day readathon. It's like a shorter one. So we'll see about that. Hey, Barb. Hope you're doing well. Happy daily vlogging for Spring Fling-a-ween. Very excited. Nice. So bad at readathons, but I'm going to try. I know they're so hard sometimes, but I like to just not put as much pressure on myself for them. And I do them like low key. I don't try to hit all the prompts really anymore. I just read with everybody else. And if they've got a live show, I watch it. But yeah, that's why I also didn't promise a vlog because I'm like, I don't know, maybe it won't really go well for me and I might not have a full vlog to show for it, but we'll see. Yeah, I remember seeing somewhere that you DNF'd Manhunt as well. And then I saw Mandy as well. She just talked about it recently in a video and said that she didn't love it either. And then I've just haven't really seen a positive review of it yet. I think a lot of us were surprised by it being so dystopian. I don't know. I just wasn't expecting it to necessarily be like that and be very like war like, but I don't think it's going to be for me. So I'm probably not going to end up picking that one back up. So TBD, what I read for Spring Fling-a-ween. Also, just wanted to give you a heads up. I am getting ready to go on like my summer tour of book club co-hosting. I'm just going to be co-hosting a lot of book clubs here in the next couple of months. So some of that I might do like I have 2 that I'm doing in May. So I might do like a May TBR video to more formally announce it on my channel. I don't know if I've announced it anywhere formally on my YouTube, or if it's more on my Instagram. I feel like I update things like that more on Instagram. So again, like if you want to see more frequent updates, would definitely recommend keeping up with me there. But uh, in May, I'm going to be on my friend Jesse's channel, Reading with Jess. She does the Sleep When I'm Dead book club, and I will be co-hosting with her in May. So that's next month. And we're going to be reading the I was like, has it been announced yet? Yes, it has been announced. We're going to be reading The Good Lie by A.R. Torre. I've never read from A.R. Torre before, so I'm really excited to try something from her. And also just really excited to read with Jess. So looking forward to that. And then also in May, I will be on Gabby's channel, the Book Troop Book Club Gabby Reads does. And we're going to be reading, sorry, I have to like look at the books to remember the titles of them. We're going to be reading The Haunting of Ashburn House by Darcy Coates, and that's also going to be my first Darcy Coates book. So I'm going to be taste testing some authors in May. Really excited for that. Really excited to be on both of their book clubs and do live shows with them. Super excited for that. And then in June, I'm going to be on Kayla's channel, Books and Lala, for the Literally Dead Book Club. And we're going to be reading Hide by Kirsten White, which is one of my most anticipated books of the year. So I'm super excited to be reading that with Kayla. And there's a couple other co-hosts on that one as well. So just be sure to keep an eye out for all these announcements. I also will be on another book club in July, but that hasn't been announced yet. So I'm going to keep that under wraps, but keep an eye out to see where I will be. But yeah, I've kind of thought about too. I don't know if it would necessarily be a book club, but I've kind of thought about trying to do something a little bit more consistently on my channel where we can read books together. I just don't know how I would want to do it. So I'm kind of like also looking forward to co-hosting on so many other book clubs here soon to get a taste for if like that's the format that I like. I feel like it's tough too because I mostly read thrillers and horrors, and I feel like there's so many good options out there already for thriller and horror book clubs. So it's like, what could I add to the mix that is not already being done? I don't know. But that is definitely on my mind. That is kind of why I did the community buddy read of the Book of Cold Cases by Simone St. James last month. I think it was in March. And that that I structured as doing a reading vlog and premiering the reading vlog and chatting with you kind of like this while I premiered that vlog. I don't know if that's how I want to go forward with it. I don't know if I want to try to do live shows. I don't know if it's a book club that I want to do. I know like Patreon's a thing. I don't know what I want to do yet, but it's definitely on my mind. I'm thinking about it, trying to think what would be best for myself and my channel and what I would enjoy the most. But yeah, definitely something that's been on my mind. Yeah, so that is all I had to really chat about. I just saw this question pop up. What kind of videos do you look forward to shoot? I feel like I don't feel like this is an unpopular opinion of booktubers, but I feel like I mostly enjoy filming reading vlogs the most versus like sit down videos. Sit down videos are definitely, well, I was going to say easier. They each have their own unique challenges and pros and cons between sit down videos versus doing reading vlogs. Sit down videos are more to prepare for. Like you have to build a script in a way. I don't build scripts, but if I'm doing like a recommendations video for like psychological thrillers, I write down here are the 15 books that I'm recommending. I don't just sit and ramble off the top of my head for those. So you have to do some prep work in the beginning for sit down videos, but you just sit down and you film it and it's done. And then they're really easy to edit. At least I think they're really easy to edit versus reading vlogs. It's more straightforward. Sometimes I do like motion graphic type things or like title cards and whatnot. So those take a little bit more time. But for the most part, I think sit down videos are harder to prepare for, but easier after that. Whereas reading vlogs, I never prepare for those. I just pick the camera up and start talking along the way. Sometimes I'm like, these are the 3 books I want to read for this vlog. And so that's just like a little bit of forethought. But for the most part, like just pick up the camera, get going. But the editing process on those takes longer. And it also takes longer to create the video because if you're reading like 3 books over a week, you're filming for a whole week before the video is done. So I I like reading vlogs better. I like watching reading vlogs better. I like filming reading vlogs better. I like editing reading vlogs better. But that's just my personal opinion. I don't know. I look forward to shooting everything, or else I wouldn't do YouTube. So that is kind of where I am on that. I'm not a part of any Patreons, but I would join if you started one. Thank you. That's so nice. I am on Gabby's Patreon. Gabby Reads. I subscribe to her Patreon. Subscribe? I think that's what you say. And then for YouTube memberships, I'm a member to Kayla of Books and Lala's channel. So I've kind of seen what the Patreon experience looks like. I've seen what the YouTube membership experience looks like. And I don't know. I don't know which way I would want to go, or if that would even be what I want to do. I also like there's the Discord thing. Discord's like a chatting thing, and I thought about starting a Discord server, but I would just have to figure it out, and I just haven't had time to do that yet. So I don't know. Maybe one day, but nothing. Don't expect anything in like the next month or anything. I'm too disorganized to be a book tour. Yeah, it requires a lot of organization. I mean, I go overboard. I pre-plan like 5 months in advance for videos. I know like Kayla of Books and Lala, like I've heard her talk about it in videos that she plans like a whole year in advance. So I'm not quite that far organized, but I do plan for like the next 3 to 5 months at any given time. I know what my calendar looks like. I know what I'm going to be reading for the most part. I know what books I need to get. So yeah, it does take like a good amount of energy in that kind of department. Also like planning for the videos ahead of time or editing. But I don't know. I genuinely, sorry. I genuinely really do enjoy it. I wouldn't do it if I didn't enjoy it. And it has been really good timing for me just with how my career has changed. I started in a more creative kind of role and I've worked into more of a strategic type of role, but I am just a creative person. And so this has been a really nice creative outlet to have in my life. I love editing. I feel like a lot of people don't like editing, but editing is like my favorite part of this whole process is like putting the video together. I find to be so much fun, or like experimenting and trying new things and learning new skills. I just have so much fun doing it. So, um, yeah, if it doesn't require the most organization in the world, you can kind of make it work however you want in your way. But I am a Type A Virgo, so I will always organize more than the average person, probably. Hi, Hannah. I am probably wrapping up. Here pretty soon. I've been on for like an hour just chatting through all of the things. But thank you for popping in. But yeah, that is kind of all I have planned for today. Just hanging out for a little bit. Again, just wanted to say thank you to everyone who joined and chatted and everyone who has followed me for the past 2 years at any point in this journey. Thank you for subscribing. I'm super happy to have this in my life. It's been a really exciting hobby and it's been really exciting to watch it grow. And I'm really excited to just continue in the future. So, thanks so much for all of your support as always. Thanks for hanging out with me today. And yeah, I hope everyone has a great weekend ahead. I am going to be reading this book next, My Dearest Darkest by Kayla Cottingham. This will be the last book to read for a vlog that's coming hopefully very soon. So as soon as I finish that book, you'll expect a new video from me. But until then, I will see you next time. Thanks for hanging out and hope you all have a great weekend. Bye, guys.